What's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here with another episode of the Shackcast. This is going to be episode 23. We're going to talk about a number of the things today. We're going to talk about the new Black Adam movie, the passing of famed voice actor Kevin Conroy, who voiced Batman in a number of films and TV shows and video games. And we're just going to talk about also the general future of the DCU, which is what they're calling it now. The DC Comics universe is basically what they're talking about there. But first, let's get into a little bit here about Kevin Conroy. I do want to sort of pay some tribute to him. We will have some video assets playing in the corner here, just some trailers, essentially, to sort of give you a little bit of a memory here. But I will post a link to this article. CNN Entertainment did a really good article on Kevin Conroy's life and career. He passed away at the age of 66. Some of the things that I want to mention is that he was really, for a lot of us that grew up in maybe in the 80s, 90s era, he was sort of the first Batman that we knew. You know, of course we saw Michael Keaton's portrayal at the time, but as kids, the Saturday morning cartoons and whatnot were, watching Kevin Conroy's portrayal as both Bruce Wayne and Batman. And he sort of had a unique approach that he had when he played those characters. It wasn't just the same voice for both. He sort of had a laid back and more in tune with his voice was his Bruce Wayne portrayal was more just his standard voice, but it was sort of sarcastic and charming and witty and stuff like that. But then when he was Batman, he sort of put on that deeper tone and a little grovelly as well. But definitely sort of a bass type voice for that. And what was really special about that was, we had the animated series. He appeared in over 400 episodes of TV and voice, whether it was video games, DC animated movies. So he got to explore the character for a very long time. So when a lot of us think of Batman, when we read Batman comics and stuff, a lot of the times it's Kevin Conroy's voice in our head as we're reading those lines. And so that's why I think he means so much to a lot of us, and especially me. I have to say, he does. His portrayal is just the embodiment of the Dark Knight. Other things I might point out here was that it was a real joy when the Batman Arkham games came out. I guess that was around 2008 when we had Arkham Asylum drop, and when I heard that it was gonna be Kevin Conroy as Batman, it was going to be Mark Hamill as Joker. It was like getting the original gang back together from my childhood and getting to interact with those heroes as an adult and getting to play as Batman. Of course, the combat was spectacular. The narrative was amazing. Exploring Arkham Asylum was amazing. The detective work that we got to do, the villains that we got to defeat, and world and the lore that we got to explore was so just incredible to finally have a video game portray the Dark Knight in the way that we've always dreamed of. And having Conroy behind that, it was a gift to see him sort of return. Not that he hadn't been voicing Batman and doing lots of Batman stuff, but it did feel like sort of an anniversary moment. It was a coming home, and it was like, hey, look, we can still get this group together and have these amazing, incredible moments with these characters. He was also a stage actor. Not a lot of people knew this, but he had a full scholarship at Juilliard when he was young, and he did a bunch of adaptations of Shakespeare and some others, Hamlet, King Lear, Lolita, Eastern Standard. He was in Batman the Animated Series, which ran from 1992 to 1996. He played the Bat and Bruce in over 15 animated series, totaling nearly 400 episodes and 15 films, including Batman Mask of the Phantasm. You have The Killing Joke opposite Mark Hamill. Um, and really, what was interesting, he said, this is something Conroy said, I gave life to the character, I gave passion to the character. I approached it from a purely acting perspective. A lot of fans approach it from the whole Bible of Batman. It's humbling to me. And what was interesting was that he didn't really know Batman, so he had kind of tried out for this role, and he just approached it as a stage actor would. And I think he had pulled from some sort of French film about how there was sort of this guy that was an aristocrat that would sort of, behave real charming, and he was just a joy to be around. But then at night, he would be cunning and precise and stuff like that. And so that's kind of where he came up with the two different sides to the Batman here. Apparently, that's something that Bob Kane had also watched that same movie. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. And it was just really incredible. And then, of course, in 2019, he had a chance to, on the CW TV collaborations that they had done between Arrow and Batwoman and Supergirl and stuff like that, and The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow and stuff like that. He actually got to play Batman on screen, and he had mentioned that was a real joy for him. He kind of thought because he was older that he had kind of aged out of the role and would never really get a chance to play him on screen, but they had him be sort of an alternate universe Batman, and he had like the exosuit on that was sort of, allowing him to still be Batman, even though his body couldn't keep up anymore because, he's aging. He's had so many injuries. He was sort of a dark and jaded and worn Batman. And he used that suit to sort of allow him to continue fighting until his last moments. So it really pulled a lot from the Kingdom Come, I feel like, comics, where you had that much older Batman. Like that was really he also, because of the portrayal of these two characters, he also found the courage to come out. They talk about that in the article as well. And he also did a lot of conventions and stuff where he would say his famous lines, I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman. He would sort of say that. And he would do cameos as well for fans, where they go on that app and they request, him to say something or do something or whatever, and then, he'll show up on video and he'll say something. He always spoke like really motivationally and really uplifting and positive. And every time I've seen him in interviews, or as we've seen now that he's passed, we've seen people like Tara Strong, Clancy Brown, Liam O'Brien, all sorts of people that worked with him over the years, people that idolized him and grew up in the industry, interacted with him or saw him at conventions. They just sort of, saw him as this beacon of light and just this really friendly, down-to-earth kind of person that was just really kind and compassionate. So yeah, Clancy Brown, who had played Lex Luthor in the animated series, called him a hero. Liam O'Brien, famous for several video games, Naruto and others, said he was so inspired by Kevin Conroy. Tara Strong, known for her voice work in Rugrats, Loki. She worked with Conroy on the new Batman Adventures. She's voiced Batgirl. She's voiced Harley Quinn, all sorts of characters over the years. And she had a really nice thread on Twitter. So if you want to look up Tara Strong on Twitter, she had a really nice thread of her time spent with him and how much Kevin Conroy meant to her. And so I think we're always going to hold a special place for Kevin Conroy's Batman. And it was really amazing to see his portrayal over the years, and always going to be our Batman, no matter who comes next and who comes and who goes and who plays him in the movies and stuff like that. We're always gonna sort of look to Kevin Conroy for inspiration and darkness and light in the darkness. But I will note one thing here that they closed the article with. He did share a clip during the pandemic of himself reciting Shakespeare's Sonnet 30, and it's a it's sort of a reflection on grief and loved ones and passage of time and stuff like that, and it's and ends hope with hope, um, but it's something really good to just hear with his voice, and so if you need that moment to just sort of let all those emotions out and embrace the wonder of Kevin Conroy, definitely check that article. I'll have a link in the description down below. Next, we're also going to talk about the movie Black Adam. So I want to let you know that we will be talking spoilers here. So if you haven't seen Black Adam, I would say bookmark this podcast so you can come back to it later. I'm going to have some video assets on screen, but it's just going to be the trailer, so it's not going to be any spoiler footage there. I'll be running in the background. But yeah, Black Adam. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been pushing to get this Black Adam movie made. It's been a passion project of his for the past 10 to 13 years. Kind of a synopsis here is that 5,000 years ago, the city of Kahndaq was under a tyrannical rule, and this king created the crown of Sabak, and it becomes sort of this mythical object that is sort of created by a bunch of demons, and it sort of becomes the way to sort of bring them to this earth. And so Black Adam, or Teth Adam as he is sort of the guardian of this crown, and he's to make sure that no one would steal it or use it in any form, and he's just buried there by the wizards, right? So Dwayne Johnson just really nails this portrayal. I believe it's the role he was born to play. I mean, I feel like he knows that. A lot of people know that. And he's just in perfect physical form. He's a perfect anti-hero. His lines are very direct, and there is a lot of sarcasm throughout the movie, and it's very witty, it's funny, it's charming, and it's like not forced humor like a lot of the Marvel movies will sort of have. They just got to get a punchline at the end of every scene, and it's just like it starts to feel forced after a while. I felt like here it was a very serious moment. There's a lot of dramatic moments. This is an epic kind of movie. That's what I feel like DC has the specialty of here, is that they have epic movies with these titans, these gods. You got Batman, you got Superman, you got Black Adam, you got Aquaman. Everybody's got their own powers, and they're often compared to the Greek gods. You got Wonder Woman as well. I mean, so you have this sort of epic that you're able to tell, and this movie really puts that on display, much like Justice League did, Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, all these incredible movies. And he just really shines in that role, and I feel like it's serious, but it has humor in the right spots that doesn't undermine the serious tone of the movie, because it's a dark movie. There's a lot of violence. There's at the beginning, there's a lot of stuff about slavery. There's also stuff, Kahndaq happens to be like sort of a Middle Eastern country, and so there's definitely sort of this portrayal of when the Justice Society comes, they're like, oh, you're just a bunch of Americans coming over here, the Justice Society of America, to sort of come over here and tell us what to do and try to save us, and like you didn't care until all of a sudden Black Adam shows up, and then all of a sudden you want to come over here and enforce America's rule over Kahndaq. They said, no, we don't. They booed the Justice Society during one of the scenes. And they were like, no, we have our hero. This is a person of our land, of our people, and he is our hero. So, but the Justice Society was kind of like, well, you don't understand what he's capable of, which is true, but he sort of, I don't know, the way Black Adam sort of figured out how to align himself in the modern day. It does do that classic story of a man out of time. You know, it's been 5,000 years since he was a relevant part of society, and you know he freed the people of Kondak, and now it feels like they're being oppressed again by a new regime, right? And then you know Justice Society shows up, and they're trying to sort of tame him, and they want him to be a prisoner. So you have several characters. You got Hawkman, Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, Pierce Brosnan as Doctor Fate, which just to me it was such a joy seeing him on screen. It's a character that I was very excited to see adapted into the DC universe here. I'm really excited that they didn't have to go out and make a Justice Society movie or make like 5 movies about all these heroes. Like they kind of just brought them in a way that felt natural. You know, they could have just had this movie about Black Adam and a villain, but like the Justice Society adds so much to it. It adds the bigger world of DC, and it potentially opens up, you know, other movies or TV shows or whatever that could involve the Justice Society, or potentially, you know, solo films about some of those characters. I'd really love to explore more about Doctor Fate. I think it would be really dope. I know Pierce Brosnan said he was interested in exploring the role even further. But yeah, there were really good moments. The opening fight scene, Black Adam fights to the music of "Paint It Black," the Rolling Stones, and it started off. It was really cool the way it started because it was orchestral, and you sort of heard the chord progression, and I knew it. I was like, "That's Paint It Black." Like they're gonna build this orchestral movement where it's establishing that sort of Middle Eastern rhythm, and then all of a sudden it just goes right into Paint It Black. And you know, you've got the beautiful slow motion, you've got the lightning powers, you know, going off the rails. You know, you got him punching people and ripping things apart across the screen and redirecting missiles. I mean, once again, it wasn't made by Zack Snyder, but it sort of has that DNA that you expect from these big epic Snyder-esque films, which I'm not saying that every DC film has to sort of go that way, and this one obviously, you know, does a whole lot of things at once, but it manages to keep that kind of darker tone that DC is known for, but without being like super grim or colorless or anything like that. But I was really pleased. The fight scenes were incredible. The use of slow motion at just the right times, you know, much like Snyder does, it did feel like a lot of that DNA is there. The fight scenes were exciting. It was great to hear all these characters interacting, seeing them on screen. Really incredible. And some of Dr. Fate's, like, animations that they had for him, you know, sort of this gold shimmery stuff and the illusions and the magic he was casting. And, you know, he did his famous move from Injustice 2 at the end of the movie, just does all his hand signals and frees Black Adam from his cage so he can get out there and defeat the final boss, essentially. It was just such a dope moment. It was a movie full of twists and turns and lots of nods to other DC films, you know. And I really enjoyed it. And they did a good job of world building, making Kondak into an existing part of the DC universe, you know, seeing Amanda Waller, seeing James Gunn's wife from Peacemaker. She's also a part of the Suicide Squad team. It was really cool seeing her. Cyclone and Atom Smasher were also part of the Justice Society of America. It was really cool there. I think they did really well. It was good casting. It was very funny watching Atom Smasher, who would just grow, you know, really big and sort of fight stuff and play with the cars like they were toys in the street. And he would like accidentally hit other heroes and stuff like that because he's just kind of trying to learn how to be Atom Smasher. So, I mean, it was really cool. It was really fun getting to watch all of them interact and watching Hawkman sort of lead this group here, watching Dr. Fate struggling with his powers of, you know, every time he touches the helmet, he starts seeing possible futures and stuff, and just how it sort of tortures him that he's trying to stop his friends from dying, but also trying to make sure that they can do what they can to save the world. Um, I think he's a really interesting character to have, and I really enjoyed seeing him. Other things I might mention. There was a sign in Kondak, and it was Kondaki fried chicken, and I thought that was hilarious. So there's lots of like little things going on in the background. You know, you see Superman, Wonder Woman comics, and Aquaman stuff, and the kid's bedroom in the movie. You see all this DC stuff everywhere, and he starts sort of being Black Adam's PR rep throughout the movie, and they make lots of sort of sarcastic jokes to that, and I think it's really cool. It was so great the way they tied him to that kid, and it gave the story a lot of heart, which is it's just not something we see in a lot of superhero movies. And I thought this was going to be sort of a villainous story, and it was going to sort of just go to this sort of dark anti-hero route. But it did have a lot of good, and it had a lot of just give and take. And the fight scenes were really great. Some of them were very violent, but like in a good way. I mean, what you would expect from stuff like this. So absolutely gorgeous movie, one of my favorites, and I think I went going in like I was like I'm probably gonna like this, but like I was just like, where's it gonna go from here? Like, am I gonna just love it? And it turns out, yeah, I really did love it, and I think everything was on point. And of course, getting to the end of the movie, there was an after credits scene where Henry Cavill as Superman shows up with the John Williams theme, real subtle in the background, and he says, "You and me need to talk." And I think that just gave me chills. It was so great, and it didn't undermine the movie in any way. Like it didn't say like, "Oh, we made this movie just to lead to another movie." No, this movie has a lot of purpose on its own, and you can just come back and rewatch it and have a great time with it. It's not just just something that leads to something else. I feel like that's kind of the curse with a lot of superhero movies, is that, we're just doing this so we can establish the next one, and then we're going to do the next one to lead up to the next movie so we can have the big team up. It's like, yeah, this is sort of a turning point. This is reestablishing the DC universe. This is saying, hey, we've brought back Cavill. We're letting we're going to continue with this established, Justice League and all these characters, but yet we're going to have this bigger, wider DC universe out here with characters like Black Adam, with the Justice Society. It's really cool. So, I mean, hopefully that means we can have Green Lanterns out there. We can have, hopefully, Ben Affleck's Batman out there doing his thing, Peacemaker and the crew over there. I mean, I think there's potential for a lot for DC to do their heroes and villains. So great cast, great characters, great special effects. Music was incredible. I mean, I really don't have anything negative to say about the film. I enjoyed it in every sense, and I think it's a good blueprint moving forward for future DC movies. So I'm excited to see the Flash. Hopefully, Aquaman 2. Definitely excited for that. Whatever else they have down the pipeline. I know they have that Joker movie with Lady Gaga joining the cast. That's gonna turn it into some sort of musical. We also have the second Batman movie, Robert Pattinson's Batman. They'll be continuing on with that. I really wish that Batgirl movie hadn't been canceled. I would really love to have seen that, what that would be. I think we got robbed of Michael Keaton, Brendan Fraser, all that stuff. It just would have been a really cool experience. So I'm excited to see what they can do with the DC universe going forward, and hopefully a new Superman solo film. And it seems like they want to lead up to a big fight with Black Adam and Superman, but I hope they do it in a way that's like they have their differences, they fight, but then there's a bigger threat, whether it's Brainiac or whether it's you know maybe it's Darkseid or something. But I think a solo film for Superman with Brainiac would be really incredible. Um, yeah, I mean, just looking at the movie now and just seeing some of the scenes again, it was just really riveting. It was beautiful. It was cinematic. It was epic. I mean, there wasn't a moment where I was like looking at my watch or bored or anything like that. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous experience. And I enjoyed all the characters, and I hope we get to delve into a lot of them more and explore them in more movies. So that's going to be it for this episode of the Shackcast. We talked about Kevin Conroy, an absolute legend, a Batman that will never be forgotten. We talked about Black Adam and the future of the DCU, or the DC Comics universe here, and I'm very excited for future films, and I hope they continue down this path, and that, hopefully with James Gunn at the head of the ship here, we can sort of get a consistent vision going forward, and get a lot of dope movies about all of our favorite characters. I'm excited. It's gonna be so much fun. So, once again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're watching us over here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on podcasts, future videos, live streams, and such. And if you're listening over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, drop us a review if you can. Let us know what you think of the show. You can always hit us in the comments on YouTube, or you can check my links there, find me on Twitter, anywhere else. And you can always suggest things for the show, any topics you want to see covered, points of view, all that kind of stuff. Always open to that. So once again, thank you for watching. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.